You're locked in now. Welcome to Bringing the Wood.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, beautiful people. Y'all already know what's going on. You are tuned into another Bringing the Wood production. This is the Bringing the Wood podcast, and I am your host, D Wood. And I was up to some real good this weekend. As you can see, the background is different because I ain't at the stew. I'm out in the field. Had a little fun this weekend, but still got time to get up here early with y'all and get y'all sports weekends going, or sports Sunday, should I say. But no, man, it was good. Again, I'm at the hotel, but I feel real professional. Every once in a while, you see one of them analysts or one of them beat writers jump on, and they at the hotel in the background. But yeah, for sure. Though. We're gonna have a fun show. I'm gonna make sure I get through a couple of things that have been going on, but we'll definitely start with what we missed. What we missed was a good time last night. Shout out to the homie Kamaya, Bay Area female artist. Came through, had a show last night. 10-year anniversary of the Good Night in the Ghetto album. If you haven't heard that album, go get it. If you was at the Shindig last night, you know it was up. It was lit. It was a good time in the ghetto last night. Shout out to the homie, man. Good time. That's why I ain't in my station where I'm always at giving y'all this. But it is what it is. Again, good time. Good time. But yeah, now we're here for the real deal and the fun stuff. And one of the things we didn't get to talk about, because last time I talked to y'all was Thursday, there are crazy technical difficulties. But what did happen in all that time was Kyler Murray officially a Viking. We kind of been talking about this for the last couple weeks when he first started talking about when the Cardinals first came out and said that they was going to release him. This was one of the 3 teams that I thought he would sign to for sure, and he ended up, sticking with that and going with the Vikings is kind of what we expected. I think it's a good fit for him. I think it's a interesting look for JJ McCarthy and the Vikings brass as they navigate through this situation. Obviously, they kind of hoping for either scenario. Either Kyler Murray comes in here and he's the outright guy, and they can't help but just make him the guy and move on from JJ. Or you bring Kyler in, and he lights a fire under JJ, and JJ proves why he was taken with the 9th pick in the draft. We're going to find out real soon. Again, Kyler came there because he for sure knows it's a good football team with one of the best 5 receivers in the NFL with Justin Jefferson, with one of the top 10 defenses led by Brian Flores. So he knows he's in a really good spot. Jordan Addison's on the team too as well. TJ Hawkinson. So they got some talent. Brought Aaron Jones back as well. So they got some talent over there. Now you feel like if you can add a potential round one, for a round 1 pick one to your roster, who when we seen him play at his highest, he was an MVP caliber player. He was on the MVP list for at least one of those years. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler, 3-time Pro Bowler. Last year, suffered a weird foot injury, so it kind of cut his season short, but he had 962 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 47 QBR, so not good. But again, he's going to a team that we watched over the last years turn Sam Darnold into a tremendous quarterback that not only got him paid, but got him a Super Bowl. We'll say that Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings had something to do with that. And also with Daniel Jones parlaying his little time in Minnesota as well, to get him paid by the coach and having a great year and an MVP candidate. So I do think all eyes point towards Kyler Murray potentially taking this job. It's kind of his job to lose. Everybody kind of feels like he's already better than JJ McCarthy, and people, including myself a little bit, I think that I ain't going to say they're moving on from JJ McCarthy, but the fact that they went with this guy instead of all the other kind of like guys who we kind of knew, even if they would have, not beaten them out, but like maybe would have had a good run in training camp, we would have known that those guys still wasn't going to take his job. But bringing in Kyler Murray, that's different. That's somebody who could take your job, and you could be looking for a new job very soon. I'm definitely excited to see what Kyler Murray has in store for the Vikings and what the Vikings have in store for him. Again, Kevin O'Connell is one of the best play callers in the NFL, along with being one of the better quarterback coaches as well in the NFL, and being able to get the most out of whatever quarterback he has. As bad as JJ McCarthy and the Vikings looked as a total, they still won 9 games last year. So It just lets you know how good of a coach he is and how talented the team is. Again, that's offense and defense. Again, they made some moves and stuff, and we talked about it. Uh, we'll talk about it more. Well, not we talked about it. We'll talk about the Vikings roster, and how it shapes up as we get ready to go. We continue to break down division by divisions, but that'll be in another week or two, as we get closer to the NFC, AFC North, and they'll probably finish out the offseason breakdown. So we'll go over their rosters and see what Kyler has over there. But again, overall, excited to see what Kyler Murray can do in the Vikings uniform. I thought the Steelers, I thought those were two of the teams that, if he wanted to still kind of win, there's some other teams he could have went to and probably been a starter and been the guy right out the gate. Would have been a lot of pressure on you with a lot less talent. But I thought the Steelers and the Vikings were two teams that definitely should have had their eye open on Kyler Murray, and for the Vikings to be able to be the team to get that to happen. And that was beautiful by them. Great pickup for them. Again, we're going to have us a fun quarterback battle coming. JJ McCarthy got to bring his A game. Like I said, we know Kyler Murray's going to bring it. We've seen this guy play well. Again, we've seen him be an all-pro quarterback, Pro Bowl quarterback, MVP candidate caliber quarterback. So, JJ's going to have to bring his A game. I think this lights a fire under the entire Minnesota team, including the front office. They already fired their GM for basically letting Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones walk, and then drafting JJ McCarthy, and it all looking wrong. So they fired him already. So I do think they know kind of ain't Kevin O'Connell's fault when you watch what he does with the product that they give him. So I think he definitely bought himself some more time to be able to, again, if it ain't Kyler Murray, then the next quarterback. And the plus about Kyler Murray's contract is he got a no tag clause at the on this 1 year deal. So he signed a 1 year deal, and they can't franchise tag him. So it's either pay me or let me leave. So if he goes out there and puts together, again, MVP caliber season, Vikings win 13 games or 14 games, Vikings will be at another crossroad again where they're like, darn, do we go with the rookie who we drafted, who's got all this upside who we're expecting, or do we pay this guy we know has just shown he can be a Super Bowl caliber guy in our offense? And do we take those chances and we move on from he's not a rookie no more, but move on from the young quarterback, our future, our franchise? And again, those are decisions that front office got to make, not me. I just bring you the content. They have the hard decision to figure out who's going to be their guy when week one starts, Kyler Murray, JJ McCarthy. But we are all here for that. But not only with Kyler Murray, there's a lot of teams. Like, again, free agency was wonderful to a lot of teams, and also, a little bad to some other teams. But we're going to just talk about a couple of teams who got better in free agency. And I won't be biased. I won't talk about my Titans, who really did get a little bit better in free agency. I'll save all my biased talk. But when we talk Titans, AFC South divisional breakdown, I'll really go in on my Titans and plead my case for my guys. But there were some teams that got better, not including my Titans. Obviously, the Raiders are one of those teams, but they're not even going to be one of the teams that we're going to focus on because they had their time as well. One team we're going to focus on that got better for sure, the Washington Commanders. I ain't going to say they're going, again, they already had a good team. They made it to the NFC Championship 2 years ago with a rookie quarterback. Jaden Daniels get hurt this past season. A lot of quarterback turnover, a lot of players getting hurt. Scary Terry missed some games. Debo missed some games. So they were missing a lot of players. But again, you get your quarterback back this year. They re-signed Mariota as well. They brought in some guys. Bring in Mariota. They signed Jerome Ford of the Browns. You also bring in Rashid White, the ex-Buccaneer, who's a good player. They bring back Damani Brown, who spent the year in Jacksonville, who I thought was a very good deep threat for them, with like a one-trick pony, but was good at his trick. They re-signed Treylon Burks, Van Jefferson. They signed former Titans tight end Chig Okonkwo to a 3-year deal up to $30 million. You're able to re-sign Laramie Tunsil, add Nick Argetti, add Trent Scott, Andrew Wiley, Caleb Chason, and Adafe Owe, 2 edge rushers. Both of them played extremely well. Adafe Owe had 0 sacks through the first 8 games, and then was traded from the Ravens to the Chargers, where he then had 7.5 sacks in 7 games. So I think that's what parlaying got him paid for the Commanders. And then Caleb Chason picked it up and had 3 sacks in the playoffs on the Super Bowl run. Might have had 3 or 4 sacks in the playoffs on the way to a Super Bowl run with the Patriots. So to be able to get both of those guys, also bring back Tim Settle. They bring in Leo Chanel, who I thought was a very underrated linebacker for the Chiefs, who I think is going to help them out and be a starter right away. They also brought in Nick Cross from the Colts, who also has a chance to be a plug-and-play guy. They brought in a lot of guys. Jake Moody, the former kicker of the Niners. They brought in a lot of guys. And I thought not just a lot of guys, a couple talented guys. You bring Mariota back as well. We got to keep the backup quarterback who did play well in Spurs for him, knows that system. But the Commanders got down in the free agency. They got a lot of guys in. They brought in a lot of talent. Obviously, when you take a step back like that, going from the NFC Championship to literally falling off, you're definitely going to look at it and retool. You want to protect the quarterback. That's why they brought in. You re-sign Laremy Tunsil, and you bring in 3 new linemen as well. You bring in the tight end to help control down the seam. I don't think they ever really had that. They were kind of using Zach Ertz, and again, he's an OG in the game, so it's definitely about time to upgrade. So to be able to get Chig, I think he'll help them out down the seam. Again, Rachaad White and Jerome Ford, 2 running backs that are a little bit different. Rachaad White more the receiving back out the backfield. You got Jerome Ford, who'll be a little bit more physical runner coming out of Cleveland. I think this was a good look for them. I think they were getting it together. Like I like what they were doing. Obviously, you still got Philly, who's really well. You got Dallas, who is expecting to be better with another year in the system, another year with George Pickens and those guys playing together. Expect those guys to play well. Obviously, Philly is going to get better. They're going to be better once they figure out what they're going to do with the AJ Brown thing. Does he stay or do he go? And then, like I said, you got the Commanders who are holding it down. I like their pickups. They made a lot of good moves. So we'll see what they do. And then you got the New York Giants, newly signed head coach Harbaugh, who's had a really good free agency as well. And again, we'll talk about them next week as we go over the AFC and NFC East on Tuesdays and Thursday episode. We'll have our guests on to kind of rep their teams for those as well. So make sure y'all tune into that. But yeah, I had to give the Commanders love as one of the teams that definitely got better. And then the other team that got better that I want to give it to is the Carolina Panthers, man. They silently went out there and kind of got some stuff they needed. Obviously, you get Kenny Pickett, good backup quarterback, and help Bryce Young out. It's kind of undersized, not undersized, but a little bit smaller, about 6'1", 6'2", 6'1", maybe 6'2". So they kind of fit the same build, not super strong arm, but can make throws. They bring in John Mechie. John Mechie had his best years at Alabama with Bryce Young, so to bring him in on a little 2-year, 1-year deal, to see what he can do, see if he can bring some juice to the offense. Stone Forsythe, potential to be a starter. Rasheed Walker signed a 1-year deal. Tackle from the Green Bay Packers has a chance to come in and be a starter and earn himself some money, earn himself a big contract as well. Luke Fortner, they signed a bunch of guys. Again, the big money guys I thought were on the defensive side of the ball. Jalen Phillips, they signed him to a 4-year, $120 million deal. I don't think the Eagles wanted him to get out of the building. You don't trade a 3rd-round pick for a guy of this caliber to let him walk away after a half a season. So I do think that this shot Philly in the foot. I definitely think they wanted this guy back in their room, but to be able to get him was a good look. I think he's a really good player. Obviously, the injury in Minnesota. Now he's officially about to be a year removed. Coming next season, he'll be a full year. He'd have played a full year on the ACL, and now he's back. I think he's going to be even better. They also went and got David Lloyd, who probably was the best linebacker in the free agency. So to be able to potentially get the best edge rusher and the best linebacker to add to your team. Also get safety Nick Scott. Also add Isaiah Simmons, who's been a journeyman but a super athlete, to go along with some of the more athletes they already got. I think the Panthers' arrow is pointing up again. They were a playoff team last year. If you forgot, you could have forgot because it was kind of a surprise. But the Panthers did make the playoffs, and with these pickups and with the way their division didn't really get after it in free agency like everybody else. I mean, some other teams tried, but yeah, dog, I truly like what Carolina did. Again, coming off a season where they make the playoffs, Bryce Young takes another step, bring a couple more weapons in, you bring some more alignment in to protect your young franchise quarterback. And you add some defense to get a couple stops so that your guys can have another chance or two at the ball on offense. So I'm excited for the Panthers. Like I said, they did their thing, really, to me personally. Real sneaky good free agency so far. And again, we still got the draft, and there's still a lot of great free agents left. We'll talk about that next week as we get to keep going and rolling into the week. We'll talk about some of those best available free agents still better. But just like teams got better in the free agency, some teams got worse. And that's kind of how the game go. Because a lot of these people that get signed, they got to leave off somebody's team. They got to come from somewhere. So that's the first thing. And first team I want to say that to me got worse is, hate to say it, because of Tiffany, you're going to hate to hear this. Seattle Seahawks, man. They're the first team that I think got a little bit worse. I think they lost a lot of talent. I think they lost a lot of guys. Of course, they're really good at drafting, so they replaced their talent well. But you lost 3 starters? You lost Boye Mafe off the edge, lose him to the Bengals. They lost Tyreek Woolen to Philly. They lost Kobe Bryant to the Bears. Again, they did re-sign Rashid Shaheed, so that was a big pickup to be able to re-sign your number 2 receiver plus your number 1 special teamers. So that was a big pickup. They did re-sign Josh Jobe because they had to re-sign one of them corners. You couldn't lose both your starting corners in one swoop. So I do think that was good. But again, bringing in Josh Jones on a 1-year deal, safety Rodney Thomas, like nothing moves the needle. Emmanuel Wilson, like I think they're gonna save all their ammo for the draft and try to just get younger because the players they did lose were kind of young. So you're gonna want to replace those dudes with some younger dudes because, like I say every episode, Jackson Smith and Jigba's coming up on a deal. Devin Witherspoon's coming up on a deal. And hell, Sam Darnold only signed a 2-year, 3-year deal, so he'll be due real soon for a contract upgrade, and he's gonna want. I ain't saying he's gonna get $50 million, but he's gonna get a deal that's gonna take away and cut into some of that spending money that they got. So, yeah, I definitely think Seattle is one of those teams that got worse. My bad, cuz I know y'all want to ship, but again, but that's usually how it goes. When you win a Super Bowl, a lot of players become high value players because now they have Super Bowl experience, whether they've been to the Super Bowl or won it. When you can put Super Bowl experience, started in the Super Bowl, played in the Super Bowl, that just gets you an extra couple dollars on your check. So again, they end up losing a bunch of players. Kenneth Walker, like they lost a grip of players because they won, and that's kind of what happens. And the next team to win the Super Bowl will go through the same thing. But again, I think they took a step back. Again, there's still a lot of time left. They got still a lot of talented players in the free agency, and we still got a draft in which the Seahawks have showed over the past umpteen years. They are really good at drafting and developing players over there up in Seattle. So I'm not going to knock them and say that they won't be able to bounce back. But for starters, this is definitely not where they wanted to be at. And then last, this team had all the turmoil. They just had the big trade fallout. Like I said, I told y'all why I think they backed out of the trade anyway. My last team, the Baltimore Ravens. I think they are one of the bigger losers. Again, you get Tyler Huntley back, who you lost, and you realize you should have never let him walk out the door. He's probably been the best backup quarterback y'all have had since ever. They were able to bring John Simpson in. Obviously, the biggest pickup was Trey Hendrickson, and also like Jalen Hawkins, the former New England Patriot, Super Bowl experience safety coming over there, bringing him in. Chidobe Awuzie, he was on the Titans last year, wasn't really a big fan. He got hurt. He's kind of been a journeyman. Anyway, basically, since he left Dallas, Durham Smythe is like a blocking tight end. They needed to add a blocking tight end. They lost Kohler and Isaiah Likely, so you wasn't going to add 2 rookie tight ends out the draft, but get you a sign you want in free agency, potentially sign you a nice vet out the free agency, and then get you one out the draft as well to rebuild your tight end room because you lost 2 tight ends. Again, like I said, Trey Henderson is a good pickup, but Trey Henderson ain't Max Crosby. And Trey Henderson is nice, but hey, both the guys coming off injury, so you give me both healthy, I won't Mad Max. I don't think Trey Henderson is weak at all. Again, he could have came and played for my team, but I definitely think it's a step back. on top of losing 9 players, the 7 of them being starters, and only having what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players to replace them so far, and only maybe 3 of those dudes are going to be starters of these 6. So you still got a lot of replacing to do. That means they still got another 6, 7 starters that they need to address. And again, they go back to my point. That's why I think they backed out of the Max Crosby deal. They didn't expect to lose all those free agents. And I got to make sure I keep reiterating that. Everybody's got their own theories on what they think. And this is mine. I truly believe that they thought that they were going to be able to sign Linderbaum back to a nice deal and sign a bunch of these guys back that they let walk away because they thought, hey, we're going to bring in Max Crosby. We're the Ravens. It's not John Harbaugh. It's us. And John Harbaugh, he got some cachet in that building. So when he left out of there, a lot of people was like, yeah, I don't want to start over. I don't want to retool. So I think that was kind of that situation. That's how you go out there and you lose 9 players, 7 starters, and you're sitting here on my show. It's one of the teams that's having the worst free agency so far. But again, all that could change with a healthy Lamar Jackson, healthy Derrick Henry, Trey Hendrickson, and a great draft because now you got both your first-round picks back, so you'll be able to draft somebody to replace one of those 9 players that y'all lost in the free agency. And I think they would have been able to do that, missing 2 first-round picks. I think that would have been more in the hole, especially if you don't win the championship, especially if Max Crosby would have got hurt again or anything. I think they wanted, like I said, to give Jesse Minter a little bit more time to grow. Trading to get Max Crosby, trading your first-round picks away, that's saying to your organization, we finna win tomorrow. And I think they had to sit down as a franchise and as an organization and really sit down and be like, do we want to put this much pressure on a rookie coach? I'm telling you, it'd have been gone in 2 years, 3 years if that trade would have went through and they didn't have a Super Bowl in the next 2 years. By the 3rd year, they'd already been talking about getting him out of here. He traded all our picks away for Max Crosby. We ain't got – I know how fans are, especially Baltimore Ravens fans who are winners by nature, used to playing in big games, used to playing for championships. So, Baltimore, y'all got y'all work cut out for y'all. Big Allen, OG, don't come for me, but this is just what I see. This is kind of what I see on the surface. Again, it's still a lot of great free agents left, and the draft is still down the road, less than 40 days away, less than 40-something days away. I ain't got the exact days in my head, but we like 40-something days away from the draft. So pro days are starting to come up as well. Pro days start as early as this upcoming week. We get a couple teams. USC had their pro day last week, so pro days are about to start rolling in. So teams are going to start hitting the field and getting ready to transition from free agency board to draft board. And I'm excited to see that. You already know, man, this is some of my favorite time of the year. It's getting your team prepared to go to war. I think this is some of the most crucial and important time. NFL offseason, most sports off seasons, man. This is how you build your team. This is how you prepare your boys to go to war for the next 17, 18 plus games. And I'm excited to see what they do again. Teams that got better, Panthers and Commanders. Teams that got worse, Seattle Seahawks and the Baltimore Ravens. But that don't mean these teams won't. Just because I'm saying they got better don't mean they're going to finish better. Just because I'm saying they got worse don't mean they're going to finish worse. These are just some early assumptions. Way too early assumptions from your boy D Wood. But we're going to transition, man. We're going to transition just a little bit. Feel like we all caught up on NFL news. Nothing crazy happened since we've been in here in the shindig, but we're going to get to some more fun talks. We got some games today in the NBA. I want to run through a couple of them before they get going. Earliest game we got today is 12:30. Yes, sir. 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. kickoff. It's that football brain. 10 a.m. tip-off. And it's going to be a good one. It's going to be the Timberwolves and the Thunder. And I'm gonna come back to this one. I'm gonna just run through all the games because I'm gonna come back to that one. We also got after the 10 a.m. game, we got three 12:30 games. We got Mavs and Cavaliers. We also got the Pacers and the Bucks. We got Detroit Pistons and the Raptors as well. And then at 3 o'clock, Trailblazers, 76ers. And then our 2 final games at 5 p.m., we got the Warriors and the Knicks. We got the Jazz and the Kings. And closing out at 7. Warriors Knicks should be a fun game. Warriors are still battling for playoffs position, play-in position. So that still should be a battle. Knicks still battling for a top 3 seed in the East. I'll pull the standings up real shortly. After I talk a little bit about a couple of these games. We also got that Trailblazers, who I like right now in the 10th spot in the play-in, that veteran-led team with a couple of young, scrappy guys. I like that team going up against the Sixers. Not sure who all's going to play for the Sixers. I know last week, Edgecombe, Maxey, and Embiid all didn't play. So we'll see what it is as today begins. Obviously, you got the Pistons, Cade Cunningham, Motorcade being in that MVP race. I think it's a 3-man race right now. Might be 2.5. I'm going to give Cade a half. But Joker, Shai, Cade Cunningham, those guys are all kind of like my MVP front runners. Joker or Shai going to get it, in my personal opinion, unless they reach the 65 game thresholds where they don't play enough games. And then Cade could win it by osmosis if both of those dudes was to not qualify and play enough games. Some people don't like that. I think it does matter. I don't know what the number should be, like that cap number, that set number you got to play to be qualified for MVP. I think 65 is cool. It's what, 81, 82 games? You got to play more than half to be able to qualify for MVP. I shouldn't be able to play 30 games and average 35 and 5 or whatever MVP numbers and get the MVP. I think you do have to play. You know what I'm saying? You got to put that effort in and go out there and play a little bit. And that's kind of what I think. Again, I want to get into the Timberwolves Thunder game, and not only just the Timberwolves. Before I even get into that game and what it represents, I want to talk about something that we didn't get to talk about that happened over the weekend. I want to talk about SGA and the historical streak he got. And I got the numbers right here. I want to make sure I pull it up properly. Because this, ladies and gentlemen, is impressive. And I'm going to read the whole little doo-wop details because I really enjoyed this. Because I think I ain't gonna say we should be more like enamored by what he's doing. But I'm gonna say because he's been doing it for so long, now it kind of just feel regular. Because like when it happened, like they talked about it. And I think it's because he makes some of this stuff feel like it don't mean nothing either. Is another reason why I think that like analysts and stuff don't trip off of it, because he don't make a big deal of it, which is another reason why I don't mind Shai. But on March 12th, 2026, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander broke the NBA record for the most consecutive games with 20-plus points, reaching 127 straight games, surpassing the 63-year-old record of 126 games held by Wilt Chamberlain. According to ESPN and the NBA, the reigning MVP broke the record against Boston. He started this mark in 2024. November 1st, 2024 is when this streak started. We are now at March 12th, 2026. So 2-year run, basically. This is super impressive, dog. He's the reigning MVP. He might win it again. And during this is probably one of the most impressive parts to me, though. During this 127 game streak, in these 127 straight games that he scored 20 plus points or more, he's averaging 30 points per game. So not only is he scoring 20 plus points every game for 120, technically he's scoring 30 points in every game. If we broke it down in average, obviously he has some games where he scored 20, 21, and at 127 games and counting. But to be able to say that, I think is an amazing feat. And I don't think it's enough to understand that it's a lot of Wilt Chamberlain records that we don't think gonna be touched. And this one, we didn't think this one was gonna get touched until Shai started walking up on it. But what, he had 127 now? When he was at 63 games, when he was at 70 games, we probably was like, he gonna get 19 one of these games. Then when he got to like 112, 115, we like, hold on. Wait a minute. He might. And this is why he the MVP. And if he's able to run this streak until the end of the season, go ahead and give him his back-to-back MVPs. And you can wrap this thing up and go ahead and give it to him. And let's get ready to watch these guys in the playoffs. Because to be able to do that, a feat like that, and continue to do it to what we talking about, he gonna get upwards to 130 games. I think we got like 12 games left, 10 games left, maybe a little bit more. So he gonna get close to 130, 140 something games, streak straight, over 20 points, a long while averaging over 30, being one of the best players in the NBA. Like, this ain't one of them ones he doing where he like a middle of the pack good player and he just always get a dub because he forcing up shots. Now he's the best player on the team and he's doing it. And the number one thing he said that I enjoyed the most is when he got the record and they asked him, how'd you feel about the record? He like, I knew the record was in reach, but if we wouldn't have won, none of it would have mattered. I'd rather win the game and still have to get the record than to have this record and lose, especially in a game like that against a team like that. Because he got it against Boston. He was a team that they could potentially see in the finals. So to go out there and put that show on like that, play well, and after all that, all the love that's coming your way, and you simply say, yeah, nah, I wouldn't even really want to have this conversation if we would have lost. Because y'all wouldn't even been talking to me for real if we would have lost. Y'all would have been talking to the winners. I was like, so the winning is what's more important. So those are just some of those things that just make you really, really mess with Shai on a high level, man, as just a basketball player, as a human being. Like his quotes, you know what I'm saying? Some of his one-liners. The most recent one, I got the answers to the test. I just got to see the quiz first. Like, it was, it's like it's the perfect answer for a guy like that. Like, man, like whatever you got, I got to counter move for. I just got to see what you're gonna do. Once you show me what you're gonna do, then I know what I'm gonna do. And that's somebody who going. That's the true definition of somebody who go out there and work on their craft every day. I tell my players that I coach, I tell them, if you want the NBA or the NFL or whatever, you want one of these places to be your job, you got to treat it like a job. That means you got to go out there and put the work in at least 4 to 5 days a week like a job, something close to 8 hours. You got to find time for that. And those are some of the things you can tell Shai does. And not only does what's doing, that's why he got an offer to Kentucky. You don't go to Kentucky without being good at all. You know what I'm saying? And I always say shout out to Oklahoma City, because Sam Presti is probably top 3 owner GM. Sam Presti, he been the GM of OKC since they switched over to Oklahoma City, drafted KD, drafted Russ, James Harden, Serge Ibaka, Reggie Jackson, Steven Adams. The list goes on. And what he's done now to be able to move past that era of all those players I just named that are role players and all-stars and great players all over the league still to this day, to fast forward now, and now you got Shai and Jay Will and Chet and other Jay Will and Isaac and Wilcox and Joe, and all these other guys. And now you got a bunch of dudes and some guys that don't even play on the team. Still got first, second round picks that don't touch the court, ball in the G League. Just was at one of the G League games watching the Oklahoma City G League play against the Stockton Kings. Like, they just got talent everywhere, just overflowing. So, again, shout out to Sam Presti and what he's doing over there for them to transition to that. And again, they're going to be losing guys left and right because they draft so well. And then to be able to see the talent in Shai and trade a bunch of those picks and Paul George to parlay that to a guy who's now carrying your franchise, like, you gotta clap your hand for him, tip your cap to him. Like, Sam Presti handled his business, and he's got OKC back in title contentions again after the great run with KD, Westbrook, and James Harden in all those years. And he's back here again with a whole new crew of cats. But they got the same mentality, man. He's go out there and win games and dominate. So shout out to OKC. Shout out to SGA. Sam Presti, that team, that whole organization. They doing their thing. And that's kind of the reason why they're sitting where they are. We're going to get into the standings. We'll start in the East. And again, the top 10 teams make the playoffs. We got to play in now. We're 7, 8, 9, and 10 all play it out. So right now we got the play-in spot for the East, the Heat, the Hawks, the Sixers, and the Hornets. Out of those 4 teams, obviously the Heat and the Sixers would be the teams that you would, probably fear the most. But I like that Hawks team and the Hornets team. The Hawks have been on a nice little run since they traded to get Jonathan Kuminga. He's been playing some of his best basketball. Jalen Johnson, Duke Blue Devil, playing some of his best basketball since they got rid of Trae Young. He's got to kind of show off his full arsenal. And I ain't gonna call him a triple double machine, but he's a stat sheet stuffer to where he's always close to him. And I like the team. They're real young, really athletic, get up and down on the floor. So I think they're gonna be a fun look. And I would love for it to be Hawks, Heat, and Sixers Hornets, so we can kind of get like the older guys versus the younger guys. And kind of see how that works. But again, you got the Raptors in there. It's kind of sitting in the middle of the pack. Ooh, they got some talent on the team between Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes. You got some really talented dudes, 2 high draft picks, 2 top 10 picks, lottery picks as well on one team. So I do think they got a chance as well. And then the Magic's, I like the Magic's. Paolo Banchero, another Duke guy. I can talk about Duke guys all day, so you know how that go. They all over through the league. They make your team better. So if you don't got a Duke dude, it's probably why your team not good. That's why my net's not good. But that's the change. We might get us one. But again, you got the Pistons, Celtics, Knicks, Cavs, team sitting at the top. Again, the creme de la creme, the cream of the crop. These 4 teams, and I told you, but out of these 4 teams, I really only believe in 2, and that's the Pistons and the Celtics. I like the Knicks. I'm just not a Mike Brown fan in the playoffs. One thing Mike Brown gonna always coach is defense, and that's why the Knicks have been playing the best defense they've probably played in the last like 3 or 4 years. They got some of the best defensive efficiency ratings in a very long time, and that's due to Mike Brown. So that's one thing that Mike Brown can always have on his calling card is he gonna turn your team into a defensive team, and the Knicks have showed that a lot this season. But I just know if they get down, man, he can't coach y'all out of a hole. He can't coach y'all out of a hole. So the Knicks still got that like. I don't know. They still kind of got that on them, so I'm kind of gonna always be just a little cautious with the Knicks. And then the Cavaliers, they just got James Harden and Donovan Mitchell. And like I say all the time, bro, they rap sheet perceives them, dog. James Harden don't show up in the playoffs. Donovan Mitchell sometimes show up in the playoffs, but like it don't lead to winning. You know what I'm saying? So they're gonna have to show me something when the playoffs come. Then they'll be able to earn my respect. But right now, man, it's a 3-team race. The Pistons, the Celtics, and then kind of the Knicks. If Mike Brown can kind of make the defense keep the game close all game and they not have to get too far down where you got to start calling up offensive plays, then I think that can get kind of tough for the Knicks. But again, Pistons, Celtics, they're going to be the top dogs with Jason Tatum coming back and looking well and playing well again. Another Duke Blue Devil. That looks like that they're going to be a tough out. They kind of look like they're on a crash course to meet in the Eastern Conference Finals, and I would not mind one bit seeing them boys lace them up and get down. So that's gonna be fun. Going to the West now, things get interesting. They go to the Trailblazers. We talked about the vet-led Trailblazers and the Tennessee Warriors, Clippers, Suns. The Clippers, they've been on a run. Think about it. I want to say they started like, I know I'm gonna get it wrong, but they started like 1-16, bro. Like 2 and almost like a 20. They almost had 20 losses before they had 5 wins. Like it was something crazy. So to see them full circle get this close and get all the way back into it to where they officially over 500. And Kawhi Leonard's been playing like an all-star. I want to say he's fourth in the league in scoring with 30 points per game. Which is a great number for him. He's been playing extremely well. He's played a lot of games for the Clippers. They're going to have a chance as long as he's healthy. When Kawhi Leonard's healthy, he's one of the best 5 to 7 players in the entire NBA. No exception to anybody. He's one of the best 5 to 7 players in the entire NBA when he's fully healthy. And he's been putting it on service. He didn't have his most 40-point games in the season since he probably was a San Antonio Spur. But he's been putting it on. You heard Anthony Edwards give him a shout out too not too long ago when he dropped off and gave the Timberwolves 40+ points. Anthony Edwards was like, man, it's Kawhi Leonard. He's like, when he's healthy, he's one of the best in the business, and he was healthy tonight, and he bust our ass. Like that man's legit, great, and he still plays on both ends of the floors. I'm gonna always give Kawhi that respect. He's always played both ends of the floors, and that's because he came in playing both ends of the floors. Before he became this great scorer that he developed into, he was known as an elite defender, an elite all-pro, all-NBA caliber defensive player of the year defender. So there's no way you can never let that go. And I appreciate him for never letting that vary, no matter how tough it got through all the injuries, even through having to become the number 1 player and learning to become this great scorer. He was always like, nah, I'm going to always make sure I lock in on that opposite side of the floor. So I got to get the Clippers that love. But again, the top 6 teams are super interesting. Again, Thunder at the top dogs. They're going to be the team to beat. Obviously, the Spurs have beat them 3 of the 4 times they played. So people say the Spurs got their number. My thing on the Spurs is just youth. Young coach. That's not Pop no more sitting on that bench. So you got a young coach with a young team led by a young superstar who don't even play more than 28 minutes a night. In the playoffs, again, but the way they playing, do he need to play 28, 35 minutes a night? If he can go out there and play 20 minutes and play 28 minutes, he can go get 30 and 14 and 5 and 6. If he can do that, then they're not going to really need him to play no more minutes than that. And they're super deep. They got a lot of talent. Again, when you bad for a long time, you get a lot of draft picks, and and then they add them up, and they add up to some talented players. But like I said, dog, I think that the West, obviously, we already know it's much more open than the East as far as just the talent at the top. I told you I like the Lakers as a team, but if they don't play better defense, which they have in spurts, Luka's been trying more. Austin Reeves has been trying more. I ain't gonna lie. You don't know who I think make him try, and it's slick that they play him a lot. Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart is a former defensive player of the year, all defensive player, and a defensive captain for a championship Boston Celtics team. He wasn't on the team when they won the chip, but he was there when they went to the finals. And this is a guy who will challenge you on both ends of the floor to be better. So I do think he challenges the players on the court because he's going to defend as hard as he can. So I do think that helps out a lot. But if the Lakers don't get better defensively, maybe they can get one win. They can get a first round win for sure. Especially having the home court too in the first round, that'll get you there. But in that second round, potentially have to line up against OKC or San Antonio. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how good of a look that's going to be. For real, for real. So I do think that's going to be a tough one. I do like that they did get a tough win versus the Nuggets last night. Hell of a game they did. Played really, really well. Luka got a triple-double, did his thing. It was funny. We was talking about the other night, he had 50 points, and he was like a point shy of a triple-double. But he checked himself out, and they asked him why. And he like, because I don't care. I don't care about a triple-double. When you get people like Westbrook, people like Luka Doncic, they don't got to try to get triple-doubles because they just get them because how hard they play. So, like, if I see one coming, like, I don't got to forcefully get it. And we already winning, like, I'm going to get one. And then Luka literally got one the next game. So, those are the type of talented players where it's like, you don't got to force it, and I know people want to take that little shot at Bam, but that was just kind of one of those moments. But the Rockets are going to be the question mark team. Again, they got some of the most talent over there, plus they got one of the best scorers in all of NBA and Kevin Durant, along with a bunch of young guys, super athletic, can play on both ends of the floor. But the problem is they're the worst clutch team out of all the playoff teams. So not the play-in team. So not 9, not 10, but 1 through 8. Out of all the teams 1 through 8 in the East and West, the Houston Rockets got the worst clutch percentage, clutch plus minus, all of the above. So in the playoffs, it's going to be about making clutch plays, getting clutch shots, getting clutch stops. Will they be able to do that at a high level with all those young guys, even though they played well last year? Again, they're another year experience, and again, now you add Kevin Durant in the mix. I think it's going to be fun. But again, that's my question mark team, along with the Timberwolves. The Rockets and the Timberwolves are the teams. Clump them in there with the Lakers. The 3 teams that I got some trust in right now, even though the Spurs are young, the Thunder, the Spurs, and the Nuggets. The Nuggets got arguably the best player in the NBA, multiple-time MVP, been to the finals, been to the mountaintop, knows what it takes. And I think that, but they got their biggest issue is health. Said they got everybody back though. Jamal Murray wasn't out too long. Gordon is still here, and then again, Joker's here. They're getting healthy at the right time. If they can get healthy in the playoffs, they're gonna have a good chance to make a run. But yeah, in the West, I would go Thunder, Spurs, Nuggets, Lakers, Timberwolves, Rockets. Those would be my top 6 teams. But again, anything can change. The record says one thing, but this is shaping up to be fun, bro. This is shaping up to be a really, really, really fun season. Playoffs should be exciting. we gonna get some potential good matchups early in the first round. We could get Clippers and Spurs in the first round. We can get Suns. We can get the Suns and the Lakers in the first round. Or we can get a bunch of different fun matchups. We get potentially right now, we'd get Rockets, Timberwolves. Like that would be fun. You know, KD gonna want his get back on Ant-Man for what he did to him in Phoenix. Like the West has some shape up and some scenarios that could make it super, super fun for us in the first round. So it'll keep us entertained while we kind of limp through respectfully the East. Again, we got some young teams that's gonna be fun down there. Maybe make a game or two exciting in the East. Like the Hornets team I like, but in the West though, we got some real potential chances to set up some upsets where teams could really get upset out here. And that's what it's all about, man. As a dude who enjoys college sports, upsets happen. Selection Sunday in college basketball, we're gonna get into college basketball too. And this be so much going on in college football. I just like to wait till March Madness so then we can talk about those sets of team and the team that actually got a chance to win the nanny. We'll talk about those draft eligible dudes, those 7 dynamic freshmen I've been talking to y'all about. I'll make sure I get that list for y'all because you're gonna want your team to draft one of them boys because they damn good over there. But again, game about to tip off soon. First game I told y'all started at 10 a.m. I just wanted to give y'all a good look at the East and the West and what it's looking like coming down the home stretch. It's real tight, man. It's real tight coming down the home stretch. I'm excited for both sides. Real tight. Spurs still got a small window to try to take that number 1 seed. They got to play it well. And then as far as it's in the East, again, Boston is creeping up. But again, the Knicks want to catch Boston. They want to get that 2 seed. Detroit might got the number 1 seed sewn up with the 4.5 game lead. But you just never know right now. Again, bro, the Celtics are catching their stride at the perfect time, which only makes sense. Again, getting healthy at the right time, which is going to be very, very interesting, though. But look, I gave it to y'all, man. On the road, ugly tan wall hotel. I'm still here, fresh off the concert. It was lit. Got my water, got my tea. And I had to do the thing that y'all love to see me do, man. Bring the wood. Again, thank you to everybody who support. You already know. Make sure you subscribe to Bringing the Wood Productions as we'll begin to start to put some other podcasts, other content out. I got some other ideas that'll be coming down the pipe, man. And different things we working on. Me and my producer Scoot. Thank you for everything, bro. You holding it down for me. Making the job easy for me to be able to just get on this thing and do what I like to do, and that's to talk sports. So we got some stuff cooking up. We're going to have some fun. We got some collaborative stuff we're going to do too, so y'all can see us both in action on here. Again, next week on the podcast, next Tuesday episode, we're doing AFC East breakdown. So we'll do Patriots, Jets, Bills, Dolphins. And then on Thursday, we'll do NFC East, Cowboys, Giants, Eagles, Commanders. And we'll break those down. Have a couple guests on. Like I said, got some Eagles, got an Eagles rep, got a Cowboy rep, got a Jets rep. Potentially have a Patriots rep as well. So have on a couple guests next week to talk about their teams and how they feel about their free agencies and not just how I feel about them. But again, thank y'all always for staying on me. Love, peace, and hair grease. Love, live life in Tupac. Y'all enjoy y'all day. It's the Bring the Wood podcast. I'm the host, D Wood, on the road live from Oakland, California. When them youngins run up on you, man. It's the Bring the Wood podcast, and I just brought the wood. Peace.
You've been locked into Bringing the Wood. No soft takes, no watered down debates. If it's in the game, we bring it head on. Until next time, stay locked in.